Hello, class of 2026. Dr. Richardson here. Happy Tuesday. As you know, as you guys are aware, like on Fridays, we do what's called Fast Forward Friday, and that's where we've really been exploring your why. Well, Tuesdays, I call it Toolbox Tuesday. And in Toolbox Tuesday, we're going to examine and look at your how. That's how you do school, how you do your why, how your why lives out your what. And remember, what is school? So your how is the process. So we're going to talk about in this unit, we're going to talk about a big part of your how, which are your decisions and your emotions. But before we get started, I want you to look behind me. And this is a place that I would love to go. As you guys get to know me a little bit more, you're going to know that I love to travel, and you're going to see, and that's going to become apparent in some of the, maybe your future lessons or a past lesson. But one of the things I love to do is travel and to think about where I would like to go one day. And behind me is Lake Placid. Now, I think it'd be really cool if you guys would talk about and try to discover where is Lake Placid and why on earth would anybody want to go there? So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Lake Placid. It's in the northern part of New York State. It's near Vermont. And you see these mountains in the background, those are the Adirondack Mountains. So it's near a mountain chain. It's supposed to be just beautiful. The Olympics have been here. It just looks like a really cool place. And I would like to go there, maybe fly into the Adirondack Airport and spend some time at Lake Placid, and then maybe even go to Vermont or Maine. I've never really been up in that area of the country, and I would really like to do that. So anyway, a little bit about my travel dreams one day. I think it'd be really cool. You guys have probably all done this, but where you would like to go, and then like in the summer, if things start to open up a little bit more. All right, so we're going to get on with our lesson. And as I mentioned previously, we're talking a lot about the how and your emotions. So this unit that we're going to do through second step really does talk about emotions and how our emotions can affect our decisions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So in this lesson, we'll learn how and why strong emotions can affect our decisions. So we're going to explore all types of emotions because they're all important. All of our emotions are important. Emotions affect what we say, do, and think. So it's vital that we manage them because they are our emotions, so we can make healthy decisions in our daily lives. Today, we'll learn how and why strong emotions can affect our decisions. So our warm-up activity, I'm going to read this to you, and then as a class, you're going to proceed with a warm-up activity, and then we'll move forward. And so the teachers will pause the video after I read the warm-up. Describe a time when you felt a strong emotion. What did you do? So this would be a good time to process what are strong emotions. And then when you felt that strong emotion, what did you do? So teachers pause the video so the class can discuss. Now, before we go into this video, I know that you guys have spent a lot of time talking about this. I know we spent a lot of time last year. I went into your reading classes and we talked about how the brain, the makeup of the brain, the downstairs brain and the upstairs brain, and how the downstairs brain is your emotions. And when we start to feel a strong emotion, we may react out of that, which would be fight, flight, or freeze. And how we want to calm ourselves down by our breathing or different things. And so we could go into our upstairs brain. So that this video is going to touch on that.
Have you ever wondered what happens inside your brain and your body when you experience strong emotions? What causes your emotions? Why do you feel the way you do? Let's go inside your brain to see what is happening when you feel strong emotions. What you see here, moving up and down the pathways of the brain, are called sensory input. You know, what you see, hear, touch, smell, or taste. Some sensory input triggers emotions in your brain, some very strong emotions. Let's see what that looks like. Let's say you're at school and someone told you that your friend said that he did all the work on your science project, that you didn't do any of it. You know it's not true, so it immediately triggers an emotion. And where does this anger go? It heads for the amygdala. This is your amygdala. It's an area in the primitive, automatic part of your brain, the part that runs things that you don't do consciously, like breathing or making your heart beat. Think of the amygdala as your feelings alarm. Whenever your brain gets input that is emotional, it sends it here. Your feelings alarm is automatic, and it's always set to go off instantly. When it does, it sends out urgent messages to get your brain and body ready to respond. Stress hormones are released, sending adrenaline rushing through your body. Your heart beats faster to pump more blood to your muscles and brain. Your lungs take in air faster to supply your body with oxygen. Sometimes your body's reaction is so strong that your stomach or your head hurts, or you feel shaky. You might even feel like you're losing control. At this point, you're probably not thinking very clearly. That's not surprising. The amygdala can't think at all. That's not its job. Luckily, it also sends a message to the thinking part of your brain. Hey, cortex, wake up. You've got an emotion to deal with. Wake up! This is your cortex. It's the thinking part of your brain. It's the gray matter, all folded in nooks and crannies, that covers the outside of your brain. It's where you decide what to do with your emotions. The first thing the thinking part of your brain does is try to figure out the situation. What is this emotion? What's really happening? What should I do about it? Now, the thinking part of your brain doesn't work as fast as the automatic part. It takes time for emotional information to get here, and even longer to process it. Sometimes the thinking part of your brain gets overwhelmed. Your emotions take over, and you end up doing or saying something you regret. This is especially true during adolescence, when your amygdala is more active, and your emotions can sometimes feel stronger than they used to in the past. So before you do something you'll be sorry about later, you need to notice your strong emotions and use the thinking part of your brain to help you manage them. You take some slow breaths. You ask yourself if you really know what the situation is. Did your friend really say that? Do you need more information? And now that you're calming down, the thinking part of your brain sends a message back down to turn off your feelings alarm. But with all that adrenaline pumping through your body right now, it's going to take a while for the feeling of anger to completely go away. You just have to keep telling yourself everything's under control. That way, by the time you see your friend next, you are calm and ready to talk to him about the situation.
Okay, now we're going to discuss the video. I know this video and this lesson is probably a review for a lot of you. I know the reading classes have spent a lot of time understanding the brain and predicting decisions and emotions that might come out of events and how the brain works. So I know a lot of this is review, but we're going to pull it all together and we're going to discuss based on what you saw in the video and based on knowledge that you already have. Let's make a prediction. Why do you think it's difficult to make good decisions when we're having strong emotions? And remember, some of those emotions you guys talked about could be anger, stress, anxiety, sadness. It could be whatever strong emotion that you're feeling based on the situation. So as a class, I want you to answer this question. Pause the video. All right, welcome back. So I'm going to read some possible reasons why it's difficult to make good decisions when we're having strong emotions. So some possible reasons is the amygdala works faster than the cortex. Remember, the amygdala is the downstairs brain. The cortex is the upstairs brain. That's where we make our decisions. The cortex can get overwhelmed by our emotions. Our emotions can take over, causing us to say or do something we might regret. Let's look at two scenarios that show students experiencing strong emotions. For each one, think about how calming down and using the thinking part of the brain could help you make better, more positive decisions. Also consider how an overwhelmed cortex, that's the downstairs brain, could negatively affect decisions. So I'm going to read the scenario, and then as a class, you're going to discuss decisions or predict decisions that could come from an overwhelmed cortex, that's the lower part of your brain, and then predict decisions that could come from the thinking part of the brain. So here's the scenario. Michael, another kid's phone fell out of Michael's friend's backpack, and a teacher saw it. His friend said Michael gave it to him, so Michael got blamed. Now Michael is angry. So as a class, like I mentioned earlier, predict what decisions could come from the overwhelmed cortex, and then predict what decisions could come after Michael has calmed down by deep breathing, mountain pose, or the starfish, or any other strategy to help calm down. So as a class, pause the video and discuss. So let's see if you guys got it right. Let's look at decisions that could come from an overwhelmed cortex. Those decisions, he might say or do something that ends up getting him in trouble. A lot of times when we react to an emotion or a situation, it sometimes gets us in trouble because we just react. We don't think through. All right, so let's see if you guys came up with some possible scenarios when you have time to calm down. Michael could ask to have a conversation with his friend and the teacher. He's calmed down and he's thinking, let me talk this out. Let me get some more information. Let me make sure that things are clarified. So how'd you guys do? Well, we've got another example to come up with. This one has to do with Mei Lee. She has a test tomorrow. She hasn't been doing well in the class. I don't know how many of you can relate to that. I know I definitely can. And she's feeling very nervous, anxious. That's the strong emotion. So as a class, I want you to predict what could be some possible decisions that she could make if she stays in that place of nervousness. And then as a class, I want you to think about after she's calmed down, after she's relaxed, after she's used some of those strategies that help her to get to her thinking part, predict some decisions that she could make if she calms down. So let's see how you guys did. Some decisions that could come out of the overwhelmed cortex. She could avoid studying. How many of you guys have done that? You're like, I just can't get this, so I just don't know. I'm just not going to study. I know I can definitely relate to that. I can procrastinate with the best of them. She could worry so much she can't concentrate. How many times have you guys studied and then you worry so much when you get to the test, you can't remember anything that you studied? Well, that's because you've got to calm down. And you're in that overwhelmed cortex, that lower part of your brain. So let's see how you guys did on predicting decisions that could come from calming down once she calms down from that place of nervousness. She could text a friend to help her. Asking for help is a huge part. It's a huge way to calm yourself down. Just talking about it always calms me down. She could listen to music to stay calm and focused. Now we're going to wrap it up and think back to that warm-up question. You know, remember we talked, hopefully you guys as a class discussed a strong emotion and probably the scenario or the situation that caused that strong emotion. Think about when you felt that strong emotion, how did it affect your decisions? Did it affect it in a positive way or a negative way? Did you respond to the situation, you calmed down, you thought about it, or did you react, which could have led you into getting into trouble? Think about, take the information that you've gotten from your reading classes or your life science or whatever class, and what you learned in the video, and think about and describe what was happening in your brain that led you to that decision. Class, I enjoyed this time with you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.